Hey everybody, welcome to episode 162 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. And jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood-Type Ben. BT, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna ask you what you're doing in a minute, but before we do that, the connoisseur of skulls. It's Little Corn himself, Ian Triple Power Triplo. Trips, how you doing?
I am not doing too bad. Just getting over the minute odds that I managed to crack on Monday night.
Yeah, there's some things absolutely happened. Right, now before we dive into the podcast, Ben, you look very busy. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm joining you in the middle of day 2 of my May marathon streaming schedule, and we already hit a snag of I realized I was a model down for the team I was supposed to be printing, so I thought, okay, painting, sorry. So I thought I'll go print the model. Found out that the previous print had failed because the FAP had split, sorry, and it leaked resin everywhere. But we were able to resolve that. We managed to peel it off somehow, got it in one peel. That was actually fine. And now we are repairing the FEP, but I'm doing that during the podcast because it's taking a long time. And
so you're repairing just the FEP from the VAT?
Yeah, just the film.
Trips, what would I do?
Well, you'd have already rage bought 2 more by now.
Sadly, for the Saturn 2s, they only come in ones. But in the good old Mars 2 Pro days, yeah, that was wicked. It was just like, I'll just buy 2 more VATs and chuck them on. Because what Ben's doing now is miserable. Like, it is. It's so simple a process, but it's so finicky. It's up there with gluing a thumb on a witch elf.
Yeah, it's the equivalent. If the witch elf also had 24 thumbs each. That's the equivalent, because there is so many of these tiny little screws.
I will be honest, I have never done it. I've never done it. I think for Christmas once you bought me a packet of FEPs for the Mars 2 Pro, and yeah. I've never done it. No, I'm too impatient. Right, but yes, Ben is streaming all month for the rest of time potentially.
Yeah. So there's a schedule in Discord. There's a few streams. So today is a 12-hour one. Most of them are 9:30 till 5, which I understand is a little bit inconvenient, but one of the goals is to sort of demonstrate what a work day looks like for me. I think that's kind of fun, kind of interesting. But there are multiple 24-hour streams. We're doing 3. So there's one in week 2 doing Snotlings. And there is 2 24-hour streams back to back with a space in between to sleep. But on a Monday and a Wednesday on week 4, on the last week of May. So check that out, because there's a secret project being worked on for that one.
I am very excited for you to show that off. Not that I know what it is, because it's a secret. Yeah, no, it's so cool. Daytime streaming. Like I've followed a lot of back in the day, a lot of Magic the Gathering streamers, like Gabby Sparts and LSV before he had another 7 children, bless him. And like there was always like, oh yeah, we're gonna jump on, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon America, and I'm like, who's watching that? And then I am now the person who's like, oh, watching. So yesterday I was in head office and I popped out to have lunch and phone the girls, and after that I was sat in my car and I was like, I've got a choice now. I can listen to rumours of Göbekli Tepe and how it was an ancient civilization, or I could watch Ben paint. So I logged on to watch Ben go for lunch. So yes, it's a real peek behind the curtain.
One of the goals is to get verified, which involves having 50 followers. It's not many. I think I'm only about 13 left to go. So if you are watching this, do drop me a follow, because it does help. Yes. And once I've got that, I've got it. So hugely
so. All right, okay, Ben, it's episode 162. What are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about some Secret League stuff. I see on the banner at the top it's Forest Goblins. Are we specifically deep diving into the Forest Goblin team?
Yes, we are. Our friend Brute Fun has sculpted a absolutely brilliant team. And Trips, we were talking about the Secret League for a little while now, haven't we?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's nothing. The secret team is full of all the things that you've ever wondered. Should I or should I not do it? There's a team that will test your knowledge and test your sanity.
Absolutely. Right, let's go into it. Okay, so this is the aforementioned team. So Brute Fun is currently in the 3rd month of the Cretaceous Crumpers, which is a fantasy football Orcs and Goblins team. Month 1 gave you a full Goblin team. Month 2 added a bunch of bits to it that allowed you to also run it as a Forest Goblin team, which is going to be the team we're looking at today from a Stunty League point of view. And he's filling out the team to do, I think, Savage Orcs and Norse as well. And normal, it's Brute Fun, so this team will be able to run as everything, basically. That's the beautiful thing about third-party teams, right? But there is a key piece here when it comes to this team, and it is how invested in spiders it is, which is a very cool motif. And I think, Trips, you skipped your Warhammer Fantasy Battle phase, didn't you?
Definitely skipped it, yeah.
Yeah, Trips went straight from Necromunda to going outside, whereas I stayed quite the other side of that. Ben, I don't think you're old enough to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, are you?
No, not really. I'm going to be honest. I was thinking just like, well, maybe if it was like 7th edition, but
Ugh.
I was a wee baby.
It's trash. 7th edition. I mean, it wasn't much different. 8th was when it went downhill because they were like, oh, roll a dice, see if you win, with the charge range nonsense. Absolute trash. Anyway, before then, in the good old days where all the White Dwarfs were red as hell, Forest Goblins were a thing, and they had Spider Riders, and it was like just such a big thing. And in the video game Dark Omen, which won't run on any computer these days because I think it was Windows 95, maybe Windows 98 could run it. Best game, best Warhammer game of all time. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. If I could get it to run, I would stream it because it is that good.
I think GOG has it, right?
Well, I'll be right back. I don't know. I'm not sure if they do. If they do, then we'll do that. But there was giant spiders in that as well. It's just such a goblin motif. So, month 2. He's got you some Savage Orcs, which we'll need. Another Troll, which everybody needs. Some more Goblins, which you need. And some Spiders. You've got another Spider Rider and another Big Spider. And the reason for the Big Spider is you can use your Big Spider as your big guy in the team. And they are some big spiders. They are sitting over there, and I need to paint them up. And we'll do a print pitch for the whole team when he drops part 3 later this month, because it is just absolutely exquisite. Even though I hate spiders, it's fine. He's done a good job. They're kind of chunky and rounded, so they're almost cutesy, which was very, very, very necessary for what I did some gardening this week, didn't I? Sent you some pictures in our group chat because it was just horrific. Like I summoned Tiff. Yeah, I summoned Tiff to come and look at one of them because I was like, this is ridiculous. It was the biggest spider I've seen in my whole life, and it was just chilling out. Anyway, it's gone now. So onwards to the team. So Forest Goblins. This is a Secret League team. Ben, can you give us a quick breakdown of what the Secret League is?
So yeah, Secret League is a thing that existed on Fumble, I think quite a long time ago now. But it's essentially a community-driven and community, what's the word?
Developed, created? Curated.
Yeah. Like a group of teams that really expand the Warhammer and Plus universe to include like everything basically. And I think it's pretty good. Like I think the balancing is probably off, but they make an effort and they give a lot of design notes and justifications, which I actually do appreciate.
I love that.
Everything. Sorry?
I love that. I love the fact that they talk about why. You're bang on the money. If we could get Games Workshop to do that one time, that would be good.
Yeah. The rationale is really good to see. And I think it's just, I love it because from a modeling perspective, it unlocks infinite possibilities. And like we see that with the Squig team that Brute Fun's done and that now the Forest Goblins. And it also just makes the game more interesting, like the secret tournaments we ran, and
they were good times.
Just sort of play games of Blood Bowl which you've never played before, and I think it's awesome. Big fan of it.
Trips, was Tombstone your first tournament with us?
Tombstone was the first tournament, and it had secret teams in, so it was a real case of what am I playing?
Yes, so there's a chap called Garion, who basically is like the head honcho for this. I think he's done most of the teams with a bit of help from other people, which is very cool. And we do need to get him on the show at some point to talk about it. But yes, we've already looked at the Squig team. We looked at the Cathay team the other week because Punga have just dropped one of the best STL teams out there. But Brute Fun has also been, like Ben said, playing in the secret team space. So we're going to have a look at the Forest Goblin team. Now, this is Forest Goblins, but there's bits in there that are not Goblins, which means it's actually a Tier 2 team, so it's not like a stunty one. I think the Squig team might have been a Tier 1 because it's mostly stunty, but Forest Goblins are not. And at first sight, I was like, yeah, it's not very interesting. Then I read the design notes that Ben just alluded to, and I saw some stuff that I thought, okay, there's a gimmick here, there's a thing here. So Forest Goblin teams, 0 to 16 Forest Goblins, 40k, movement 7, strength 2, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 7+, dodge, stunty, right stuff. So standard Goblin stat line, except they are armor busted, movement boosted. Trips, how do you feel about a movement 7 dodge stunty piece?
Well, I mean, they'll do more of what they do, and in fact they'll do more of everything they do. So they will go further, they will run faster, and they will squish quicker.
They will definitely squish quicker. Now, BT's had a bit of success with movement 7 stunty players recently, i.e. the Foxes. movement 7 is pretty decent. And right, so compare this to a Fox, Ben. You got the same strength, worse agility, but slightly better armor. Is that a decent balance?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, the agility 2+ would be absolutely bonkers. I think the Foxes are ridiculously good for that reason. But I think having this as like a lineman with an armor boost, it's good. I think if it was armor 6+ still, it would be too squishy. It's too easy to remove that. 7+ is already easier. We see that with gnomes and halflings.
Yeah.
So I think this is definitely a fair compromise. Blood Bowl always has that like trade 1 movement for armor, doesn't it? It's always got that human versus orc stat line balance.
And I am
I think it always works.
Massive fan of the armor, of the movement, not the armor. You're kidding me? Movement 7's wicked. So I love this. I didn't twig at first. I was like, this is just and then yeah, the prospect of your alignment being movement 7. I flipping love this. Now, it's also backed up by 4 Savage Orcs, 0 to 4 Savage Orcs, 50k, talking about what you just said, Ben. Movement 6, Strength 3, Agility 3+, Passing 4+, Armor 8+, Frenzy, Thick Skull, and Iron Hard Skin. So, on a Armor 8 piece, the Iron Hard Skin there is basically for fluff in the olden lore and potentially in AOS. So I'm not sure if you did ever come across this, Ben, but like Savage Orcs and Forest Goblins, they had, well, I don't know if the Forest Goblins had it, but Savage Orcs had the magic blue tattoos that gave them like ward saves and stuff. So in the designer's commentary, it actually says like, cool, I can now represent the fact that they got feel no pain on a 6+ or whatever. But 50k, Frenzy, Thick Skull, what's the armor of a Marauder lineman on Khorne, Ben?
8+.
So is this just a Khorne Marauder with Thick Skull for 50k?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And Iron Hard Skin.
And Iron Hard
50k on Khorne as well, so it's a...
And I think...
straight up better.
I think the Khorne boys don't get strength anymore either, do they? So
no, I don't think you do. I think you're right.
How do you feel about trips like them having this be better but have it limited as a positional?
They get mutation is what they get.
They get mutations on standards?
I think they get mutation. Oh, no, the Beastmen get it. They might not.
The linemen get mutation on a primary, strength on a secondary for Khorne.
Okay, all right. I would argue that mutations is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
It
can be, but you don't often skill the linemen because they die. So
yeah, but I mean, being able to take extra hands to give them edge 2+ ball to create a ball carrier is pretty useful. And there's a skill called Claw, which combos quite nicely. Obviously, you do just want Mighty Blow first or Guard, but that's the cool thing here about these Savage Orcs is you end up with very quickly either block or guard set up there for 4 of these pieces, which I mean we've seen a lot of guard in the championship recently with the gnomes and mummies and stuff. So guard is a pretty useful skill. So 4 of those boys. Then you've got 2 Spider Riders, 0 to 2, 120k, movement 7, strength 4, edge 3+, armor 9+, shadowing and tentacles with agility and strength on a primary. and general for secondary. So 120k, that puts them in the cost range of your bull centaurs, and having them be a movement 7 strength 4 piece. I mean, Trips, how do you feel about the pricing of this player?
It's expensive for a player that basically just comes with tentacles, because shadowing basically never works. So you've got, it's nice to move a piece around with strength 4, but that's a lot of that's a big guy price with not any other big guy skills.
So what I'm comparing it to is a werewolf, and you're trading
Ooh.
a movement for a strength,
Well,
and I think saving money.
That's not bad. Like strength 4 is a skill of its own. The Amazon girls have kind of rocked up and showed that. Then you've got the Old Foreigners Trips and the Bull Centaurs. I had my mind that this was kind of like a Bull Centaur piece, but with better movement, well, the same movement really, and better agility. Doesn't have,
and you've got agility access, so you can take dodge, and you've got a supremely good ball carrier.
Yeah, the agility, actually, looking at it, that's a big bonus. You can actually move that piece round. I mean, I'm willing to roll 4+ on a dodge. 3+ is easy.
I think for you, it's easier to roll the 4+ dodges. Yeah, this is really interesting. I think the whole team is built on the fact that they become, I think, which is what you were saying, Trips, at the beginning, is that you develop them up into something that's very, very, very different. So because the Secret League has got more freedom to kind of present you with a team that starts a bit question mark, but then you can develop them brilliantly. So the Spider Riders, okay, they're not going to end up with block sure hands like a Bull Centaur, but they could end up as a sidestep, dodge, shadowing tentacles piece that just sticks to a player. Like that's all right. Like, that's interesting, and I think it's probably quite appropriate for how you would imagine a giant spider being ridden by a goblin would play.
And I think the armor 9+ is actually pretty good for that as well, because they're going to get hit if you're playing in that playstyle. They can actually take a hit. Like this gives I could see them being armor 8+ because they're Oh no, sorry, the Amazon blockers are strength 4, aren't they?
The Amazon blockers are strength 4.
And sorry, armor 9.
And 9+, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking they're 8+.
So they're a movement boosted Amazon blocker that can't pass, but it doesn't start with dodge. It starts with shadowing and tentacles. And
yeah, but again, you can stick defensive on this. You can put
put some really defensive guard Spider Rider that's not going anywhere. Do you know?
Yeah,
I think there's one thing that they should have put in here, and it should have been foul appearance. But that might be me. But I just think foul appearance would have been really. It's an extra layer of protection, right? I mean, not when Ben's rolling, but
yeah,
it's that extra defensive play. But I mean, there's good potential there. Now the team also comes with one big guy at a bargain price of 125k. Movement 4, strength 5, edge 5+, passing 5+, armor 10+, loner 3+, so it's a trained river troll, always hungry, mighty blow, really stupid, regeneration, throw teammate, disturbing presence, foul appearance, and projectile vomit. So troll is 115, so for 10k you get disturbing presence and foul appearance. There you go. There's your foul appearance.
I like that. I think he's still in a cheap big guy territory, and foul appearance is really good on big guys, especially ones that don't really want to be doing anything.
Like the trolls.
Yeah, I think what you lose here though is the loner 3+. That's kind of sad on a goblin team, but then you've got actual good players. So
trolls have loner though, don't they? On goblin teams.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they? I always think because it's like the tree men that they don't.
No, that's why we've always kind of said that trolls are not where you want them to be potentially. Sorry, I'm brewing up a roster.
The black one is the trained troll, isn't it?
That's 3+ as well. So one trained troll, 2 spider riders, and 8 goblins. Is that right? It's 685. You kind of want 200k's worth of savage orcs, and then their rerolls are 60, so taking 2 rerolls, dropping a goblin. Okay, you can get a pretty decent amount of players here. So let's say 200 for the 4 savage orcs and 240 for both the spider riders. Trips, can you see ever running not max positionals on this team?
I think on the secret teams, you generally want to run as many of the positionals as possible because they're fun. I think you might, if you were starting in a league, you might end up starting with one Spider Rider and then generating up to two. But if you could have two tentacle pieces and another piece with disturbing presence and foul appearance, you can potentially really upset your opponent's turn.
Yeah, I think this is a bargain. So you can get plenty of stuff for this team. There's no reason you can't kind of max out. You'll even have a couple of bench with goblins and 3 rerolls, I think, which is absolutely fantastic. So as we kind of dive into what this team's supposed to do, I wanted to read the background and the notes, like Ben said, because I think it's just such a wicked thing to be able to do. So throughout the forests and dense jungles of the old world, south and blah 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 blah, there are goblins. All right, yeah, we'll skip that. So, rationale. I wanted the forest goblins to be slightly different to standard goblins, living in jungles in the wild rather than strongholds. I felt slightly increased movement made sense while reducing their armor because they're less equipped. Tick. Savage Orcs are the same as Savage Orc roster, so checking the rationale for them. Yeah, that's fair enough. While I do not like mounts playing Blood Bowl, I felt I had to make an exception here. Mounts were banned from participating from Blood Bowl after a Khorne team riding Juggernauts were too powerful and killed an entire team. This is in the official fluff of the game in one of the magazines. However, goblins are cheats, and I just felt the Spider Riders are too important for forest goblins. A giant spider team was mentioned in 2nd edition. I gave them tentacles to represent their web ability and shadowing, which is a very nice synergy with tentacles, and felt appropriate for this player as it conjures up images of players being stalked by the spiders. Movement 7 was given to them as they're fast-moving creatures, and also so shadowing was not too easy to escape. Strength 4 was given as they're huge creatures, and again, tentacles would be pointless on a Strength 3. And Ag 3 was must as they are Agile 2. I felt that A and S access was the most fitting skills to give them. G would have made them too good and wouldn't fit as their creatures being ridden by stunty players. They're very good players, but this was intentional as I wanted them to be the focal point of the team, even though there were only 2 of them. And the troll is basically just to go in there as well. All right. For me, the Spider Riders are definitely the key, but I don't know about you. I think the Savage Orcs are going to be the ones who do most of the heavy lifting. You've just got that frenzy, that good access, the only access to block, the only sort of access to. Well, guard, I suppose. Troll is always good for guard. Always good for guard.
I'm not sure, because if you're comparing them to the Khorne linemen just don't really do anything. You end up getting like really trapped with them, and then they just sort of die. It's hard to use them effectively, especially with the low armor. I think they're nice, like
marking.
They're a nice 10k, I guess, upgrade to a goblin. But sometimes I feel like this team could. Actually, yeah. I think if you're going to get guard on the spiders, which I think is really good, I think then you can start using the Savage Orcs really well. But other than that, I think you've got to just sort of play the fast game with the linemen. Does
it feel like the Savage Orcs are playing against the direction of the rest of the roster?
It does feel a bit like that, yeah.
Because your Spider Riders are kind of want to be your stars. Your Goblins want to do Goblin shenanigans, and then your Savage Orcs are kind of just there. They're too slow to be hugely effective. They're too weak to be hugely effective. They've got no combat skills. But I just can't see turning down that Strength 3 positional in a stunty team. I guess it's not a stunty team.
I think that's where, I think it does do itself a disservice there. I think they bring the tiering up to tier 2 in a bad way. I feel like if I were to do this, I think I'd look down the route of like spider hatchlings and go for like the snotlings and having like some like strength 1 swarming guys, like hatchling swarms or whatever. Or even if this was the same positional but a hatchling swarm or something like that. I for me is like, I think why I don't like it so much is the fact it's a Savage Orc on the Forest Goblin teams. Like that for me just doesn't feel in place. I don't know.
I get it. They've gone with it because they're in the jungle and that's where the Savage Orcs live and the Forest Goblins live. Yeah, I get it. I think and I'm probably being absolutely swayed here by Brute Fun's team, but like,
yeah, he's made it work.
Well, no, he's made an extra spider without a rider, and I'm just like, okay, you can use that as your trained river troll, but why would you not have like the big guy on a forest goblin team that has spider riders be a big spider trips?
I think that it thematically is much more there. I guess it's trying to not break the rule, not break the law and the team makeup so much. All of the secret teams have got a little bit of a nod to a normal team, and then often there's a bit of borrowing across the teams in detail, so we don't end up with masses of positionals. It would be fun though. I mean, you can imagine a bit. Who would not want to put a big spider on the pitch and go, there you go, that's my line of scrimmage?
Hang about, have I missed a team here? Because I'm sure that back in the last edition, Saxby ran this, and they had little goblin spearmen as part of the forest goblin team as well. Because I was thinking,
Was he just proxying?
I don't know. As I was thinking, this team needs a bit of stab. Like spiders, you know, they sting stuff. Like Shelob. I was like, they could have had a bit of shadowing tentacles and stab. Now you're like, okay, there's two things you can do here: movement 7 at strength 4, runner, or just shadowing tentacles. And if you don't get away from them, they're going to stab you for free. And you've just got that extra pincer movement. I mean, generally speaking, though, I really like the team because it's just such a cool theme. But and I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to the secret teams, I always get a little bit more like, oh, you could change this, or oh, it could have been like this, or oh, could have been done slightly different. I even think this for the Squig team, because I think the Squig team needs more Squig hoppers, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. These are more cave squigs. I just want more squigs.
More squigs is absolutely positively more better. Right, what do we think then, Trips, for the team? How do you what's your vibe from it?
I quite like it as a team because I think you've got an interesting combination of speed and a bit of beef. They feel like they could be quite hard to play if you lose a few players quite early on, because you could get snowballed quite quickly in terms of outnumbered players and details. But it feels like you've got a couple of options of what to do, and I can imagine there being some dodgy, stunty shenanigans which would really wind a player up when your key defensive player is being marked by tentacles.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm going to put Brute Fund's team back up because it's just full of wicked stuff. Would there be anything you would tweak though for the roster, guys?
Yeah, other than the Savage Orcs, I think that small stunty positional could be good. I think you could, or just remove them, go 4 spiders, and really lean into it. Like remove the Orcs as a positional, put 4 spiders in, then you have that representation of the spiders. The troll I think is fine. Teams need a troll, but I think it's kind of what we said with the gnome team, where they brought in a tree, and it's just the tree men. We've seen them before. I think it sort of misses an opportunity to do something truly unique. But when you sort of see Brute Fund's representation of the team, you can't. It's hard to complain because they look so good.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I figured out what I was looking at and why I think I thought this is because there was another secret league called the Stunty League, which was all stunty teams back in 2016. And this, I think, is where some of the best team designs were put in there. They had their pump wagons on the Snotling team. They had because I played this in Birmingham. That's right. Because I did
Mayhem.
Yeah, I did the Squig Herder team with 2 Squig Hoppers, 4 Squigs and Squig Herders, and I was able to run a little fancy star player. Oh, that was wicked. But in their Forest Goblin team, they had Spider Riders, some Shaman, 2 Goblin Shaman with Foul Appearance and Hypnotic Gaze. They had Forest Goblins with standard Goblin stats, but they were priced at 35k, but they were just armor boost, armor failed. And they had 4 stickers, which were standard Goblins, but with dodge, stab, stunty, and secret weapon 10+, to give you an idea of how old that team was. That's why in my head I was like, where are the stabbers? Where are the stabbers gone? It's because there was 2. There was an alternative one.
How would that work? The secret weapon 2+, 10+ again.
At the end of a drive, any you rolled the opposing coach rolled 2d6, and if you scored equal to their secret weapon value, they got sent off.
Okay.
So chainsaws were like secret weapon 5 plus or whatever because they're egregious and loud, whereas stab lads were like 10 plus, so like maybe the referee doesn't notice. I liked it. I thought it was cool. That's how it worked in, I don't know, 4th edition, 5th edition Blood Bowl back in the blue box days. Back in the days of in the 90s, Ben, where everything was Technicolor. And everything was made of Velcro, and it was pink.
Everything had that
green.
font.
Yeah, and that
like
sepia tone.
The design that's on the cups. Is it like the blue and the
Back in the Saved by the Bell days.
Yeah.
Wicked. All right. I mean, I love this team. I think it's going to be good fun. I think the Savage Orcs are just such an interesting positional anyway. That I mean, they have their own Savage Orc team, which I think is an interesting one. Have we looked at the Savage Orc team before either?
I'm not sure.
It's
Not for a while.
very similar to the Orc team, except they've all got Frenzy. So Savage Orc linemen is exactly what we've just talked about. They've got 0 to 4 blockers, Savage blockers, which are movement 5, strength 4, edge 4 plus, Frenzy, thick skull. So they are Black Orc blockers, big and blockers basically. Savage blitzers, which are movement 7, block, frenzy, thick skull, or you can take a troglodyte or a troll. Troglodyte is basically a disturbing presence. These are disturbing presence ogre. Oh yeah, disturbing presence Crocscore. And then or you can take a river troll on it, and they're 60. You can only choose one big guy. So it's basically just an orc team that's armor busted, movement boosted, and has frenzy, which is just better corn team, Ben. Just a better corn team.
It kind of is. Yeah, it really kind of is. You don't have a Bloodspawn, but a Crocs is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
but all about the blitzers, this team. It is absolutely all about the blitzers.
Well, that's because they're basically berserkers, aren't they, Trips?
Pretty much, yeah. They're like the Orc Blitzer in a way, where a good Orc Blitzer leveled up is good. Well, this is a good Orc Blitzer that starts a bit more fun, but could get himself into trouble quite quickly with the frenzy.
And I think
but you've got 2 big guys that can just stack guard.
Only one. You get to choose one big guy of the 2 choices.
We've got one big guy and strength access and everyone else.
Old World Alliance rules. You pick one.
Right.
Which I'd like. I mean, again, there's a lot of fun teams in the Secret League. Yeah. Okay. I love the spiders. I love the models. It's not as fun as the Squig team, but it is a very, very, very cool build. And the great thing here about it is the Brute Fun team. It's got all the positionals to be run as goblins, and then you can cool. So release 1, you had everything. You got the chainsaw guy, you got the flying guy, you've got the pogo stick, who's the spider jumper. You've got Dirty Player here with his little knives. You've got the bomber here. And you've got the ball and chain here with a bunch of goblin linemen and a troll. So it's good to go for goblins. And then you've also got the spider rider bit for month 2, so that you can run the forest goblin roster and you get a bonus spider. Although maybe it's just a different size. But yeah, I love it. Right, any last thoughts on the Secret League? Well, the Secret League teams we looked at.
I was going to, yeah, I've got many thoughts. Yeah, no, I like them. I think more of this, please. And Games Workshop, take note. This is what we want.
Creativity.
I think this is just awesome.
And this is what Fumble is ideal for. If you want to go and have a play with it before you start the modelling hobby side of it, and whether you really want all those spiders, go and have a play with it. Get some friends together, play some secret teams. You'll learn that you love some teams and you hate sharks.
Oh my God, the sharks.
It's a good way to look at it to then see, actually, do I want to build this team together? And it's great that we've got the 3D model versions of the teams where you can have the secret team and a normal team wrapped around it. So yes, it's a bit more of a hobby project then, but it may well be worth it.
Now, before we wrap up for the day, because I know Ben's got to go probably have a bit of lunch before he goes back to streaming, this is what I think Blood Bowl would look like if Games Workshop ever gave up on it. I think this is what would happen. They would like the Secret League would become the new expansion teams, which would sweat out the NAF, which I think is quite funny. But let's assume for a second the Games Workshop are not done with it. We've got the Dallas Open coming, which is the next Games Workshop preview. And while I am very optimistic we're getting Blood Bowl stuff this year, I think this is gonna be Horus Heresy. What do you think?
That came out. It's going to be Horus Heresy. Is there rumors of Horus Heresy?
Yeah, it's the year for Horus Heresy, isn't it? They were the Games Workshop doing they go 40k AOS, and then Horus Heresy, and then they have a year off, or do they go straight? No, so it's going to be 40k in 2026. So this is like the year of no main release. So people are like, well, it's due for Horus Heresy. So the rumors are all about Horus Heresy getting another edition potentially this year.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that is wrong and it means it's Blood Bowl. But then, like you say, I don't hope, because we want GW to abandon it so we get more secret teams.
I mean, there's definitely an element to it, because we're talking about the next Bonehead Championship, because it's due to start in June, and we're kind of like, if we get reveals, what do we do? Like, if it's a new team, we'll just play on with the championship and add the team at some point, like, you know, add some games with it. If they do release a new edition, because it's been 5 years now, then we're like, well, what do we do with the championship? What do we do for that period of time? And I think we all kind of discussed we could just go a bit deep on the alt rules for this edition of Blood Bowl and like give it a goodbye. So
yeah,
but
secret would be great,
right? And equally, if Games Workshop were to say, okay, we're done with Blood Bowl for a bit, or they just stop releasing stuff, I mean, but this is where we started with the podcast, wasn't it? It was like, here's Blood Bowl, and we're just like, Blood Bowl's, but at that point Blood Bowl had been solved. I don't think it's been solved yet for this edition, but we are getting to the point now, I think 4 or 5 years in, where you start going, all right, what else can we do with Blood Bowl? Oh, there's Dungeon Bowl, oh, there's Sevens, oh, there's Mixed Teams, oh, there's Secret League, oh, there's all the fun, the fun edge case stuff. And I think whatever happens next, like, new edition, hype for the new edition, no new edition, hype for Blood Bowl as it is, and we can start exploring this stuff a bit more. So I'm jazzed either way. I think that's what I'm telling myself, because I don't give a flying monkeys about Horus Heresy. And every day I'm like, no, it's just gonna be Space Marines, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I got my books sat there on the windowsill getting sun damaged as they'd never been opened.
The Horus Heresy one.
From Horus Heresy, yeah.
Oh my god, when did you get tricked into Horus Heresy?
I bought the Age of Darkness set. I was convinced I was going to be playing that.
Was that the Mark 6 Beakies?
It was like the big re-release. Yeah. I went all in. I was going to do World Eaters and never touched it.
Oh yeah, that's right. See, I think we were talking about this in the group chat the other day. I was like, I just really want something that Games Workshop's doing. I like Horus Heresy. I mean, it's really cool. The stories are really cool, but the game itself is a good system, but there's not enough to interest me into it. Like, and Age of Sigmar is just, it's just a miss for me. Like, some of the models are great, but the whole thing is just a miss. I looked at the Skaven release they put up yesterday, like for the new, because they've got the new General's Handbook and they've got some extra stuff. And the first page of this PDF for 2 units was like faction rules, and I was like, this is just stuff that is not models. So no, like, switch me right off that. I want like a Cursed City from Games Workshop, or a small like Space Hulk or Battlefleet, something that you can pick up and you can be like, cool, a game. Because Trips back in the 90s, it was wicked when you got your boxed game, and like the boxed game had enough for you to play the boxed game for quite a while.
Well, that was the old school box game release, wasn't it? You'd get the box game and it would last you for 5 years, because you couldn't afford to buy any more lead to go with it.
I do think there's quite a lot. I think the issue that wargaming has now is that obviously the internet solves everything really quickly, but the people have less of a money barrier. Like, I remember Warhammer, like 6th edition, which was the best edition, but there wasn't power creep because no one could afford to min max. It was like, what'd you get for birthday?
The mines didn't pay back then.
It was, yeah. It was like, I've got a unit of Longbeards for Christmas. It's like, wicked. You know, they're not optimal. Like, the better thing for you to have done would be another unit of Slayers. And they're like, yeah, but Mum said I've already got a unit of those, so I have to have Longbeards instead. You know, it's like, oh, you know, do you know what? It worked.
There is something quite liberating about that like being a child and having just like your money, which you didn't have to spend on important things, so you never had that worry. But then it was always so small that you just had to incrementally save, and then it meant the world when you bought that one thing or that one game. Or
Exactly.
Oh,
This is if
yeah,
Tiff.
that's
So I'm watching a lot of Magic at the moment because Tarkir's back, and Tiff's like, "Oh, why don't you, why don't you play Magic? Why don't you go?" Because Ian and Craig have been playing some Commander with some local people, and she's like, "Oh, do you not fancy it?" And I was like, I can't go that route. Like, it was okay when we were younger because we were limited by the cards that we had, and then Magic came back when we all had jobs, and I'm not sure any of us ever financially recovered from that. And it was like, right, I need a new deck. I'm going to get 4 Windswept Heaths and 4 Siege Rhinos, and I'm probably going to have 2. It's just mad. Like, I'm like, I need to stay away from that. I need to stay away from that. But anyway, enough with me harking back onto the old stuff. Anything more for you two, or Benny, are you going back to streaming now?
I'm going to go back to streaming. And yeah, if you were listening to this and you want to see, I guess, me paint snotlings by that point, be brute fun snotlings, yeah, please tune in and do make sure to give me a follow because that would be really appreciated.
Yes, let's see if we can't get Ben to Twitch Lord status. Anyway, BT, Trips, thank you very much for joining me and talking some Blood Bowl. And we will be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.